Go get them.
Wish I was there.
Kick ass.
Double knot those laces.
So excited.
We coming in hot. Can't wait.
Best time of the year. This is hard.
Derby sleigh.
Goes hard.
That's the coolest video to come out of Derby days thus far.
So lit.
Slanging out west.
We're ready.
Let's go, oh, oh.
Sigma Chi X Huntsman. Derby Days 2022. Wild West.
Dave Barry wants to borrow $10 billion.
Cleanest highway in the state. Not gonna find a single piece of trash on that highway because we've all gone home.
Thank you guys for all the help.
Conrad's been caught.
Elijah, where's that video? Well, Mr. Hall, where is it?
I'm about to whip somebody's ass. Oh, I'm about to whip somebody's ass. Oh, if you don't leave me alone, you're gonna have to send me home, 'cause I'm about to whip somebody's ass.
Hello everyone. I'm going to do some reading to you tonight in my squeaky chair. I'll try to be somewhat quiet. It's kind of hard for me. Sometimes I start moving around when I'm doing this because I get a little riled up. So I left off last time at the Black Supper, the ritual, the Black Supper, right? Oops, darn it. Okay, yeah, let me get this right. Okay, let's try this again. Good evening. I am coming to you tonight to read to you some more Sigma Chi. And if you remember, we left off last time at the Black Supper, which was the quest dinner. So now we're going to go forth into the quest. You guys ready? I've not read any of this, I promise. I'm right along with you on this. I didn't look for it. I wanted to be just as surprised as you. Ritualistic statutes. The quest. Purpose. The aim of the quest is to send the candidate out alone to think. It should be an inspiration, not a wild goose chase. When properly conducted, the candidate will search for an ideal, a search that he will be conducting for the rest of his life. He may discover gratitude to his home, appreciation of college opportunities. He may pray and find God and return the possessor of spiritual values and nobler manhood. Well, let's say that again. He may pray and find God and return the possessor of spiritual values and nobler manhood. Are those the ones that actually perish? Is that what he's talking about? That they'll find God? The ones that don't make it home? And they end up, let's say, in a creek? Or under a bridge frozen? Is that what they mean by that one? What do you guys think? Okay. Properties. Going to need a table, chairs for magister and candidate, quest instructions, black member robe for magister. Preparation. The preparation of the written instructions for the quest and the manner for which they are to be given to the pledge are explicitly prescribed by the ritual. No chapter or member shall add to the ceremony or devise features other than those provided by the ritual. Oh, I kind of find that that's been altered a lot, I think. Seems like it anyway. A careful time schedule must be followed in planning the quest. The most successful practice is that of sending the man out at 5 to 10 minute intervals and having them return on a similar schedule. So is that each different guy? So a careful time schedule must be followed in planning the quest. The most successful practice is that of sending the men out at 5 to 10 minute intervals. Yeah, okay, so all of them. And having them return on a similar schedule. This will avert the possibility of pledges encountering each other while coming or going. So they are alone. They are sent out there alone in the middle of the night in the dark. Blind and drunk. Not knowing where they are. Is that what they're... By themselves, yeah. No one's supposed to be with them. So care must also be taken in planning the directions for the quest routes to keep candidates from seeing or meeting each other. So you must make sure that no one's around in case they need help or get in any type of danger, or say maybe start having convulsions or because they haven't eaten and they've got alcohol poisoning. Maybe they've fallen into a well and Lassie isn't around. Where are their brothers? Oh, that's right, they're not brothers yet. Okay, never mind. They're not brothers yet. Doesn't mean anything. The distance each pledge will have to walk will depend on local conditions. For instance, if it's in the summertime, give them a good 10 miles. Wintertime, narrow it down to 2 or 3. A half mile to 1 mile each way is far enough. That's still a lot in this here, you guys. That seems like a lot, actually. I'm not being exaggerating. I was exaggerating on the 10-mile one, but I wasn't on the 2 to 3 mile one. That's what I've heard many stories about that. In the dark. At night. Nobody around. A half mile to 1 mile each way. Oh, each way is far enough. Okay. So, that's right. About 2 miles. Okay. If it is necessary for the pledge to travel long distances because of crowded urban conditions, arrangements should be made to drive them to the designated spot. Let him continue to the remainder of the way on foot, then pick him up at a designated hour. So it is. So they're admitting to it. That's shocking me. It really is. I'm really kind of surprised. Of course, they said that they were going to be thinking clear, and they would have a light supper and have plenty of rest. So, we know that part's not true, usually. I don't think that part ever can be true, to tell you the truth. That just makes... I've never heard anything like that before. I mean, come on. You guys. Sometimes lies are just too far-fetched. The length of time for each quest will vary according to the distance the candidate must travel and how hammered they are, or how cold they are, or how dark it is so they can't see, or if any wild animals come up and they have to hide for a little while, or run, or become dinner. It may be figured on the basis of 20 minutes per mile and a maximum of 30 minutes for the actual search. So they literally have hidden something out there, I think that is what they're saying. Are we getting that? And they've got to find this white cross. I'm thinking that's what that is. Let's see here. Ritualistic statutes. Rules to follow in determining quest location. The place of search should be an isolated location, away from people, away from buildings or any other man-made structures, never near a churchyard or cemetery, away from objects likely to cause injury. So no creeks and no bridges, and no roads in the middle of the night. And definitely no cliffs or rivers, or ponds or lakes. Oh, they're everywhere over there. I mean, I'm talking everywhere. 2, you're going to need a place of tranquility and beauty, essentially appealing. Ah, yes. Such as a pasture with cows in it, because that's about all there is around there. The practice of conducting an extremely long quest is ill-advised and contrary to its purpose. It serves not only to fatigue the candidate, but also to slow down the entire process of initiation. Multiple walks, errands, missions, or quests are forbidden. The ritual prescribes but one. Additional missions defeat our purpose and add confusion. God, well, no wonder they're so confused over there. Performance. In the event the Black Supper is held in the evening, the candidates are immediately put to bed and are aroused before dawn for the quest. Under no circumstances should the candidate be caused to remain awake all night. Does this feel to you guys like they're just covering their bases on this? Because the opposite actually happens in their darkened letters here, in their extra bold letters. Those several hours of sleep are vital for a clear and receptive mind during the ceremonial work. The magister shall call each candidate into a room in which there is a desk upon which has been placed a lamp. Here the magister shall present a white paper envelope in which has been placed the quest instructions. The outside of the envelope shall contain a description of the intent of the quest as set down in the ritual. The candidate shall be adequately clothed and sent on his way. At no time during or after the quest shall the candidate be met or harassed by the members. He should not be asked in any manner for the white cross intangible form. At no time shall anyone other than the magister ask for or accept the candidate's written quest instructions. Any conduct on the part of the chapter which does not enhance the purpose of the quest is improper and forbidden. The candidate shall not be asked or encouraged in any manner to run to or from the quest site. God, that makes me wonder what the hell's going on at the quest site, that they would feel like they had to run. Oh, I'm just flashing on the king house right now. Man. Those boys running away. And Saeed running after them. That is just... It's always stuck in my head anyway. He was chasing them. Saeed was chasing after them because Saeed is the magistrate. I bet you he was the magistrate in that. I bet you he was. I'm going to look that up eventually. I will look that up. No candidate... I got to look that up for sure. No candidate for initiation shall be permitted to leave the chapter house after the initiation ceremonies have begun, except under the constant surveillance of some responsible member of the active chapter. I wonder if we could name one of those guys. Ritualistic statutes. At no time shall the candidate be asked for the white cross in tangible form or for his written instructions. Immediately upon returning from the quest, the candidate, still on silence, will clean up, put on a suit, and be conducted to his room, where he will be brought a light breakfast. This meal is important and must not be neglected. The candidate is becoming emotionally tense and will have a tendency to feel faint unless he has something in his stomach. Wow, these guys are good. But not good enough for us because we know your little secrets. Wow, you guys... they must carry a little, something like a wool cloth around with them just to think they could throw it over our eyeballs. It's not going to happen. Ritual. The quest. The magister shall call each candidate into a room in which there is a desk upon which has been placed a lamp. Here the magister shall present a plain white envelope in which has been placed a sheet of instructions which shall read as follows. Mr. Blank, you are to proceed to blank, and there you shall make a diligent search for the white cross. Leave without telling anyone where you are going or for what purpose. Promptly at blank, you shall return to the place of the interview and await further instructions. You shall preserve this paper carefully and return it when it is called for. You shall keep absolutely quiet until further directed. After these instructions have been read and given to the candidate, he should be asked if he understands them. If he indicates that he does, he shall be sent on his way. And if he doesn't understand them, he shall be given an opportunity to ask any question that will clarify the instructions. If the magister cannot answer the question, he should tell him so. The outside of the envelope containing the instructions shall read as follows. To whom it may concern. The bearer of these instructions is engaged in the process of a fraternal initiation. He is explicitly instructed to conduct himself as a gentleman. I said that way. I'm going to tell what gentleman. Gentleman. Same thing to me. He is not dispatched for any malicious intent, and if there shall be any further questions, please contact blank, and then there's a phone number. He shall not be dispatched for any malicious intent. See, they're covering their bases, you guys. In every one of these paragraphs, they are covering their bases. As in, we told them that they can't do that. We said, no, that's off limits. You must not do that. You must not. We gave them explicit instructions that they must not do that. They must follow these rules. Yeah. Ritualistic statutes. The interview. To the consulant, magister. Invitations to alumni. In preparation for the interviews, the following needs to be done. 1. Notify alumni who will be interviewing at least 3 weeks in advance. Enough alumni shall be invited to prevent the need for any one alumnus to conduct more than 4 interviews. Like I said, if it's a big class, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of them. 2. See that each gets files on the pledges he will interview far enough in advance to allow ample time to study them. 3. Make sure they are aware of the purpose and methods of the interview. Each shall read the instructions to interviewers before conducting an interview. The practice of having new interviewers witness a more experienced alumnus is highly recommended. I've been through it. 4. Make the current instructions to interviewers available for alumni who may want to do some reviewing. Each chapter shall have available a supply of the current instructions to interviewers for use during initiation time and also for alumni study. They should be numbered and signed in and out to avoid losses. Copies of the instructions to interviewers may be obtained from fraternity headquarters without charge. 5. Prepare the candidate for a successful interview by a well-planned program on the Jordan Standard during the indoctrination week. The chapter shall make every effort to encourage alumni groups in the vicinity to form an alumni committee of interviewers. This group may meet from time to time and discuss techniques and problems encountered during the interviews. Younger alumni shall be encouraged to participate in these groups where they may learn from experienced interviewers. Having such groups simplifies the job of lining up alumni interviewers. All a ritual committee chairman need to do is notify the chairman of the alumni committee of the date of the initiation and how many interviewers will be required. The tribune will do the rest. Getting dry mouth. It's making me nervous. Take a drink of tea. All right. Physical arrangements and setup. The chapter shall provide the following materials for the interview. 1. Supply of black paper, or black. Ooh. It's a Freudian, it's a slip up. Supply of blank paper for notes. Freudian slip there, sorry. Probably not, though. 2. Complete file on each pledge to be interviewed, containing a summary of all pledge tests, including score made on official examination. Interesting. B. Summary of all work assignments. C. Academic grades. D. List of pledges, campus, and chapter activities. List of pledges, campus, and chapter activities. Okay, got it. E. The essay. F. Pertinent comments by magister. 3. Current edition of instructions to interviewers. If the chapter is initiating more than a few individuals, it will probably need to run several interviews at the same time. Interviews should be set up in quiet locations away from noise and other distractions that may be present. Seating should be arranged to follow the interviewer and candidate to face one another, as it is important that they maintain eye contact during the interview. A small table should be placed between them. Soft lighting by candle or otherwise shall be sufficient to allow them to see one another, but not so bright as it to be distracting, like they're on a date. Ordinarily, the interviewer and candidate shall be left alone after the candidate is presented by the magister. In rare instances where another member is present, such as a prospective interviewer who is present to witness an interview by an experienced alumnus before doing one on his own. There you go. Got someone watching over you. The member shall not be seen or heard by the candidate. It's interesting. Immediately upon returning from the quest, the candidate, still on silence, will clean up, put on a suit, and be conducted to his room. He will be brought a light breakfast. This is going to be just what we read before. The meal is important and must not be neglected, obviously. The candidate is becoming emotionally tense and will have a tendency to feel faint unless he has something in his stomach. At no time shall anyone other than the magister ask for or accept the candidate's written quest instructions. Did we just read that before? I feel like we just read that. Nope. Okay. To the interviewer. Purpose. Except for the first and final ceremonies, the Sigma Chi is initiated individually. The interview is at the heart of his initiation, for it is here that the candidate shall come to fully recognize the importance of the fraternity ideals and commit himself to their attainment. Accordingly, the purpose of the interview is to allow the candidate to measure himself by the Jordan standard and to help him realize symbolic and continuing nature of his quest for the White Cross. Toward this end, it is crucial that the interviewer establish an atmosphere of trust and open communication with the candidate. The interviewer's approach to the candidate. Conducting an interview is a real art. It is a difficult form of communication. The interviewer must establish and build upon the candidate's trust in order for him to open up about the Jordan standard, and most particularly about the symbolic nature of the quest for the White Cross. So does this mean that he's got to tell him secrets? Like he's got to give him like a secret that nobody knows about him? Is that what that is? Kind of what it feels like. You know, something that they can get him on later type thing, like, you know, like collateral. The attitude of the interviewer is that of a counselor and older brother, and during the interview, he must set the tone for an honest discussion of self-evaluation by the candidate. The interviewer must accept this responsibility in good faith and with a sincere desire to be fair and friendly. It is contrary to the laws and purposes of the fraternity and counterproductive to the purposes of the ritual to use profanity, vulgarity, falsehood, or deception, or to embarrass or grill the candidate. Who shall enter a picture there? It is unethical to suggest or to convince the candidate that he will not be initiated or lead him to feel that after an intensive pledge training program, he is not wanted and will not be initiated. Such an approach by the interviewer is deceitful. Ooh, that's interesting, you guys. I'm going to read that again. It is unethical to suggest to or convince the candidate that he will not be initiated, or lead him to feel that after an intensive pledge training program, he is not wanted and will not be initiated. Such an approach by the interviewer is deceitful. Do you guys realize what that means? What it means to me is that they shall not say, you get down there and you eat those worms out of that dirt. You stick your head in that toilet and blah, blah, blah. I mean, all that stuff, yelling and screaming at them and making it even worse and like doing, everything that they do. Sharpening their face, right? Putting drawing dicks on their face that are going into their mouth, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Real fun stuff. I guess it's fun. I don't know. I've never played that game before. So that's what that means. That you will not do that. So they're covering their butts again. Such an approach by the interviewer is deceitful. God, this whole thing is telling me, everything I've read so far is telling me that they're kind of evil. It's just like and I'm not saying all of them, because it's not all of them. It can't, there's got to be, it can't be. But there are a lot of them out there. And they're allowing them to do this. They're not getting punished for it. They're not even having to stand up for it. It's covered up. So what happens then? Well, just like your brother who comes up and bites your finger, and if you just look at him, he'll come up and do it again. I'll tell you what, if you bite him back, he probably won't. It's not exactly what you should do here, but just a little story, just a memory, actually. Interviewers are responsible to the Grand Council and to the Consul and Magister of the chapter for everything that is said and done. Since the candidate will be under a certain amount of emotional stress, why? He had a good breakfast and he had plenty of sleep. He's in a really calm room, with low light so as not to stress his eyes out. Why would he be under emotional stress? So since a candidate will be under a certain amount of emotional stress, it is not necessary or permissible to evoke any measures that will place him any further emotional or physical discomfort. So what this is basically, what I'm getting from this is, don't duct tape his hands together and then his feet together and then wrap him around a rolling desk chair and then allow him to be pushed back and forth. But first, you must pour alcohol down his throat via a pool noodle. Does a job. And it'll alleviate some of that physical discomfort from the plastic ones anyway. Although you're going to have to open your mouth a lot bigger. That might be just, that'll be uncomfortable, I'm sure. Oh, be careful that the chair doesn't tip over, because you won't be able to get out of it. You just fall right straight over, and you could probably hit your head and stuff depending on where you are, because your feet are duct taped, your hands are duct taped, and you are literally duct taped to a chair. Okay. You might be dizzy too if they spun you around a little bit, so be careful. Don't do it by stairs, you guys, or by swimming pools, or by roads that, where lots of cars are. Don't do it by glass, like sliding glass door. Don't do that. Just don't. The paragraphs which follow examine the various phases of the typical interview. The 3 phases. An interview should last no more than 30 minutes under ordinary circumstances. So, under ordinary, so does that mean, for instance, I heard one story was a guy was in convulsions, but he was in the middle of answering questions, and it took a long time because they actually laid him on the couch. Actually, it took a very long time because he never woke up. So I'm thinking maybe that's under ordinary. Yeah, no more. The interview should last no more than 30 minutes under ordinary circumstances. Okay, so you get more time if they're like, their eyes are rolling back in their head, or their tongue is like, if they bit their tongue, or if they're vomiting, something like that. They'll allow you more time to conduct that interview with them. So it's a good thing to know. With a bright and well-prepared candidate, I'm so happy. Bright and well-prepared candidate. With a bright and well-prepared candidate, the time required for a rewarding and meaningful interview is frequently less than a half hour. It is important to remember that the candidate shall... what? Shall what? Shall what? 44? Well, that's 44. 45. Important that the candidate shall... well, I guess that's it. Maybe they didn't put a period there. I think that's not right, but anyway. So, is this back to the... so this is interesting. So is it the same thing? Are they doubling up on me here? Or am I... well, I'm talking... candidate should be seated. No, I think this is a different one. Okay, yes, this is a different one. The interview. The candidate is brought before the interviewer, who is seated at a table. The candidate shall be seated facing the interviewer. The magistrate presents the candidate and says, "Mr. Interviewer, this is candidate blank." And then all brothers leave the interview room except as specifically authorized by the consul, magistrate, and interviewer. In the rare case when another member is present during the interview, it is forbidden for his presence to be known by the candidate. It's very much a secret. Everything's a secret. You can't see, you can't talk. Opening questions. The interviewer. You may remove the blindfold. So the interviewer shall introduce himself. "My name is blank, and I have been asked by this chapter to conduct this introduction to our ceremonial work." What is your full name? How old are you? Where did you last attend school? Did you come to this college or university? Why did you come to this college or university? Why do you want to join a fraternity? What particular reason do you have for wanting to join Sigma Chi? Do you have any relatives who are Sigma Chi? Do you have any alumni family, my man? My good man? Oh, let's skip it. That's weird. So shall be asked to remove his blindfold for purposes of analysis. The interview can be divided into 3 parts: introduction, opening questions, the Jordan Standard, and the quest. A brief wrap-up or conclusion finishes the interview. All of this can be covered in the recommended time. Phase 1, Introduction. The introductory portion of the interview accomplishes 2 purposes. It allows the interviewer to learn a bit more about the candidate in his own words. Further, remember that a candidate will often be on edge and somewhat confused by the process. The interviewer shall use these first questions to put the candidate at ease before moving on to the more important topics of discussion. Like how much money your parents got. How much money they got, boy? Phase 2. The Jordan Standard. Finally, upon completion of the introductory portion, the interviewer moves into the Jordan Standard. It is not possible to cover in great deal all the parts of the Jordan Standard in the prescribed time. The interviewer should be familiar enough with the material to enable him to focus on those areas that seem to be most important in light of a candidate's strengths and weaknesses. The interviewer should also bear in mind that the candidate has just completed a comprehensive training period and should be well versed on Jordan Standard, even though he may still be somewhat on edge and bewildered at this stage of the interview. Wow. Did you guys just hear that? Wow. When were these written? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is nuts. Did you guys hear what I heard? So if you've ever seen them doing hazings, so let me see, for instance, the last one I saw, I just saw it just the other day, it just came up on my feed just really quick, like it was just a short, and it was a guy, they were in, it was nighttime, and they were in the middle of a Walmart parking lot or something like that, and he had the kid, the pledge, I'm assuming that's who it was, the pledge, had he had just taken something, stole something or something like that. I'm not sure what it was. I don't remember that part. Or maybe it was a bottle of alcohol, because he did have alcohol in his hand, so maybe that's what it was. Maybe he went into the store. Anyway, the cops were chasing him, the store cops. And so he was running from them and got away from them, and the whole time you could see his hands, like one of them had like duct tape on it, and he was running, and he was drinking the alcohol as he was running, pouring straight alcohol down his throat. And he was already, well on his way, if not over the edge, and still doing it. In a parking lot at night with authorities chasing after you. And I'm sure that was probably the magister chasing after him, making sure he, got where he's supposed to be going okay, because maybe he was just, maybe he was bewildered. You think, you guys? Because he might have been bewildered at that stage. A little bit on edge and stuff, Anyway, the whole time that this kid is doing this, and he's running from the cops, and he's twisting out of their reach. They actually caught him, and he twisted out of it, and still had the bottle, right? The whole time, this other guy is drilling him about the Jordan standard. He's asking him questions, and he is meant to answer them correctly. In the moment of stress that he was in everything. You got to know these. You got to know them. They drill them. They actually have flashcards for these. You can buy online. Wow. So, mind you, he might be bewildered at this stage of the interview. Use the suggested questions in the ritual as a guide for each interview. Remember that the purpose of discussing the Jordan standard is to assure that the candidate understands its material and to set the stage for the discussion of his quest. It is not necessary, nor is it good practice, to ask the candidate each and every one of the suggested questions set forth in the ritual. Instead, use them as a checklist or guide to individual situations. So what this means, for instance, is don't stand so close to their face that you're spitting on them and you're shouting out questions while you've got your hand on their forehead backed into a wall, and you're spraying and you're shouting questions at them, and they're meant to answer, or else someone will punch them, or they have to drink a shot, or whatever they have to do. Maybe they have to get down and do 40 push-ups. They do that a lot too. Sometimes they have to play with each other thing. Yeah, they do that too. I'm not lying. I could show you pictures, but it's probably not going to get this video put on air. So you got to look for those pictures all on your own. Maybe I can put socks on them, maybe, if I find them. I got one somewhere. I do. This Jordan standard. And Mr. Blank. Our fraternity has certain standards which have been maintained from the very beginning, and which all men are required to meet before they are fully initiated. Meaning, you must act like a wild animal, or else you are not allowed to become a brother. Wolf. One of our founders, Isaac M. Jordan, gave us a strict warning of admitting no man to membership who was not believed to be a man of good character, a student of fair ability, with ambitious purposes, a congenial disposition, possessed of good morals, having a high sense of honor, and a deep sense of personal responsibility. Yes, good one for them to end that with. So basically, you get caught, you deal with it. If we can help you, so be it. But if it all comes in, if it ends up in that soup and you can't get back out, we ain't going to jump in there for your we're not going to be the vegetables. You're going to have to do it all alone. Swimming there alone. You man of good character, you student of fair ability, you'll be able to get yourself out of there. I mean, you have ambitious purposes, and you've got a congenial disposition. I mean, you're possessed of good morals, and you have a high sense of honor, and always remember that. Don't forget that deep sense of personal responsibility. Na, tag, you're it. Mr. Blank, do you regard this standard fair and just by which Sigma Chi's are to be measured? Are you willing to measure yourself by this standard? What have been your thoughts about the Jordan standard? Select one of the 7 points of the standard, perhaps the one most important to you, and tell me what it means to you. Which of the points do you exemplify best? Which of the points do you have the greatest problem exemplifying? Are you making efforts in that direction? Is there any one of the points that is confusing to you or that you would like to discuss with me? Time for me to find that Jordan standard, isn't it? Do you feel as though you measure up to the Jordan standard as a whole? Measure the depth of thought of the candidate. If not already covered sufficiently, the individual points are provided in the following pages for reference. Okay, let me see how long this is. Just a minute. Okay, I'm going to leave it at this today because it's already at 43 minutes and I already have another bit of the video to put on to add to this, so it's going to be over an hour. So I will not take as much time in between. I'll continue to keep doing this so that it's not forgotten, because I know this last time I waited a little long in between times, so sorry about that. So anyway, so the Jordan standard. Meanwhile, I'm going to go hunt down the Jordan standard. It might be in my other book, the old one. That's not online. Yeah. Okie dokie. Well, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, because I'm telling you, they're covering their butts. Yeah, they are. So we're going to show you some of their butts next. Well, not literally their butts, but you know, the class I'm going to be showing you is the one year that, you know, the years that
King Fritz. Don't get caught ratting on a frat.
Or else.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congrats, dude.
Congratulations.
Congrats, vandalizers.